To make calibration buffers, you need to find the box that has the buffers. Inside will be pH 4, 7, and 10 standardized buffers. Also a little jar of preservative. I will demonstrate how to make a pH 10 calibration buffer. The instructions are on the label. Empty powder into 100 milliliters of distilled water. Comes as a capsule. I need to separate the two halves of the capsule. Dump the powder into my container. Capsule is empty. Add 100 milliliters of distilled water. And I need to make sure all the solids are dissolved. I can do that by stirring or shaking. Once the solution is made, I add, again, this is on the label, the instructions, add 3 drops of preservative, and it should change color depending on the pH. At pH 10, the color should be blue. The preservative kills mold. Buffer calibration capsules are stored right here. This is the organic acid shelf. Initially, you need to connect the electrode to the pH meter. Push in and turn. pH, if the electrode has been stored properly, the pH should be around 4, as you can see it is. Now I have 3 calibration buffers, pH 4.0, 7.0, and 10.0, and I will calibrate the meter. I can start with any one of these buffers. I will start in this case with a pH of 7. I will rinse the, well, first I remove the cap. Then I will rinse off any material that's on the electrode into a waste beaker. Then I will immerse the electrode in pH 7, and I'm looking at the numbers, waiting for a stable reading. This will take about a minute or 2, so don't rush this stage if you're trying to accurately calibrate the meter. Now I've let it sit for about a minute, and I have a reading here which is not 7.00, so I press and hold this button that says power/cal, cal for calibrate. Press until I see the letters cal. Then I release the button. Now this sensation is pH 7.00. I have 1 point calibrated. To get the pH meter to work within a range of pH values, I need a second point. If the buffer that I'm trying to measure will have a high pH, then I will use pH 7 and 10 as my standards for the calibration. If my pH of my buffer has a low pH, I will use 4 and 7 as the 2 points for the calibration. It's very unlikely that all 3 points will line up for you on the pH meter. In this case, I will use the pH 10 buffer to calibrate the second point. Rinse off the electrode with distilled water. Immerse the electrode in the pH 10 buffer. Again, give it a minute or so to equilibrate. I will press and hold cal until it says cal. It will go and now say this is 10.00. It gives me a percentage. The closer that is to 100, the happier I am. If the percentage read something like 82 or 78, it would be time to replace this electrode. I will now go back to pH 7 to make sure that that calibration point holds. Sometimes you have to go back and forth a few times before you can be convinced that it is calibrated correctly. I have to wait for a minute. Here you can see after a minute it's reading 7.01. I will say that's good enough. So this pH meter is calibrated, there's 7.00. This pH meter is calibrated between pHs 7 and 10, Probably could go a little higher than 10, a little bit lower than 7. But if I wanted to measure a pH of 5, I would recalibrate with 7 and 4. If I am putting the electrode away for storage, I rinse off all solutions that are on the electrode. A quick dip into pH 4. This is the buffer or the pH at which it is most happy. Put the cap on. pH reading should be close to 4. And this is ready to be stored overnight or maybe even for a week. Calibration usually lasts about a week. Unscrew the electrode attachment. Electrode goes here. pH meter goes here. They are stored in T3.